Ali Drew for Seconds Out, joined by promoter Joe DeGuardia. Joe, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about you, all right?
I'm good, thank you. How are you enjoying the UK?
I'm enjoying it. We got great weather over here. They all say UK weather's terrible. Meanwhile, it's been beautiful here every day.
This isn't normal, but it is a nice few days. Obviously we just had the weigh-in, how have you found this sort of fight week so far?
Oh, it's been perfect. I think everything's going well. It's been a good press conference yesterday. Weigh-in went well today. I like the way Carlos came in. We're ready to go, and it's been a good week.
And how has Carlos been this week? You know, has he been, obviously he's away from home, but how has he been in himself?
No, he's been looking forward to this fight. You know, he's motivated, probably more motivated than he's been in a while. And he's excited. This is a big opportunity for him. He's got a mountain to climb, literally and figuratively, but he's ready for it.
Do you think you've seen a sort of different side to him for the preparations for this fight?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, he's more motivated for this fight than he was for his past couple of other fights. You know, we had him in the U.S. on the last 3 fights, I think it's been. But he's really motivated for this. He's happy to be here. He's always loved coming here to the U.K. and fighting. And this time he feels like he's had the right opportunity to train.
And there's a lot at stake, you know, world rankings and positions. Do you think that, you know, this is the type of opportunity that he needed in order to get the best out of him?
Yeah, look, I mean, guys rise to the occasion. And this is a big occasion. And certainly with a guy that's 6'6", you got to rise to it. But he's ready to go.
And what do you make of Joe Joyce? You know, we saw him on the scales. He is a big guy.
Yeah, look, he's certainly big. He's got a good jab. He's got the amateur pedigree with the Olympics. And, you know, he's #1 in the world. So he's got a big future ahead of him if he can get by Carlos, you know. And, you know, obviously Carlos is looking to upset the apple cart.
Do you think that, you know, Joe Joyce had a lot of sort of news this week about, you know, moving to the mandatory spot. Do you think that he could potentially look past Carlos and overlook him?
It wouldn't be the first time it's happened in boxing, right? You know, I think yesterday I spoke a little bit about Tommy Morrison when he was going to fight Lennox Lewis, and he looked past the fight that he had in front of him with Bent and got knocked out. And I also look at another guy that one of our trainers worked with. One of our trainers worked with Mike Tyson for a couple fights, but he also worked with Danny Williams when Danny Williams fought Mike Tyson. And you know what happened in that fight. You know, Mike Tyson got upset. And, you know, you look at the Douglas fight, you know, massive underdogs. And anything can happen in a fight, but particularly when you're looking forward to something next, like a world championship fight, the way Joyce is, you know, it's a real danger. And for Carlos, Saturday is his world championship fight. This is his fight, and he's got to win it. So can it happen? Sure, he could look past Carlos, and I hope it happens. But we'll see on Saturday. That's why they ring the bell.
And it is heavyweight boxing, and anything can happen in one punch.
That's for sure.
Carlos has said that, you know, he wants a sort of another crack at AJ, and you know, with this win, that's potential, you know, could happen. Is that what he wants, sort of long term? Yeah,
look, I mean, he's been sore about that AJ fight for a long time. He only had, I think it was like less than 2 weeks to train for that fight. But he took it because it's a real opportunity, and he felt that they stopped the fight too soon. So he's been clamoring for that since it. And, you know, certainly it's a fight that he'd be looking forward to. Certainly it's one of the things you're looking at. In football, I know you have football over here, soccer, but in American football, you got to get to the end zone, right? Now, maybe AJ might be the end zone, but for this fight right now, that's the first down. You need to get the first down so you can get another set of downs. And this fight for Carlos is what he's got to look at. That's the primary thing he's got to look at, because that'll open up all the doors, including a potential AJ door.
Do you see one of his last sort of big attempts at pushing for the AJ World titles?
Well, I mean, obviously he's got to perform in this fight. It's important how he performs. He's got the pedigree, and he's got the background, he's got the reputation, and, you know, he's known as a guy that will come in and give it his all. So you never know what happens, but from my perspective, I want this to be in his mind that, yes, this is the fight. You got to take care of business and do what you need to do, because this is what opens up all the doors for you. And I think he feels that.
So what kind of fight are you predicting on Saturday?
Oh, look, I'm predicting that bell rings and that fight starts, because that's the first step. With everything that's been going on in the world and COVID and everything else, it's great when we get through everything and that bell rings. So I'm hoping that bell rings, which I expect it will. And look, the kind of fight that we're hoping for is a fight that's going to go deep. We want to take Joe Joyce deep in the fight. And that's when you really test the mettle of a man. And we know that Carlos's mettle has been tested. And, Joyce has got all the tools to become something great. And he's got the pedigree in the amateurs. He won with the Olympics and did well in the Olympics. And he's certainly got the size and the physique. So, those things are all great, but ultimately it's what's inside of a man when the chips are down. And that's what we are going to try to test.
It will be a good fight. And as you say, you've got through everything before even the fight, the stuff you've got to get through with the travelling restrictions, the COVID tests. Has that just added a sort of extra bit of pressure on top of everything?
No, certainly. Look, from a business perspective, it adds a lot on top of it because, we're navigating a lot of logistics and there's a big change. But look, again, yes, like anything else, you go through a lot of hardships for a fight to take place. A lot of things have to happen in order for a fight to be made and how it's made, and then ultimately getting to the bell ringing, which is really a big victory when you get to that bell ringing. But once that bell rings, everything's out the window. It's up to those two guys in the ring, and they got to do what they have to do. And that's when you really find out what's going to happen and where they are and how they trained and what they have, that intestinal fortitude, if it comes into a war. And we're hoping to test that.
It'll be interesting to see. Before we finish, I do want to talk about Joe Smith Jr. and what's sort of next for him. What are your plans?
Well, look, Joe is something special. I talked about intestinal fortitude, right? And he really has that, and he showed it. And that's what really won that world championship fight for him. When the chips got down and it was rough and tough, and he was in that 9th and 10th round and things got tough, he turned the page. And pulled out that 11th and 12th and won that world championship. So he's a pleasure to watch. I love watching Joe. He brings excitement. My whole life has been in this sport, and it's rare and tough to get that kind of feel of something new and fresh and exciting. And when I watch Joe Smith, I get that. So I'm looking forward actually to his next fight as much as the fans are. And we expect that will be, I'll do an announcement next week, I believe. And it'll be a fight that's going to take place in the fall.
And now you're over here in the UK, have you had a chance to speak to Frank Warren? There's some potential opponents, I think, that he would like Joe to face. Is there any talk there?
Well, certainly. Look, we got together last night, Frank and I spent some time together. He's got 3 guys in particular in the ratings for Joe's title. And, I imagine 2021 might see at least one of them, maybe a couple of them, against Joe. And Callum certainly fits, and London Art fits, and Yard if he were to win. So those guys are all guys that are in the mix, and certainly guys that would be on our radar. And we would certainly give a defense. It'd be great to bring Joe here. I think the fans would love him, love his style, love the way he is. He's a real common bloke, as you might say, right? We call him the common man, but over here it's the bloke, right? Yeah. Look, that's a possibility. But certainly, even if it's not here, if it's in the U.S., but they are certainly potential opponents for 2022.
Yeah, because Callum Johnson and Lyndon Arthur have both said Joe is an opponent that they would welcome. I think they're keen for the fight. Is there anyone out of those 2 in particular that you would fancy Joe against?
No, look, I mean, right now I'm trying to follow Joe's instructions, okay? And Joe's instructions are get me the biggest, toughest, baddest guys out there. And that's what we're looking to do. I don't know what the windup will end up being. So I guess it'll be, who we think is thought by the fans to be the roughest, toughest of those 3. Right now, we got a few guys on the horizon that we're looking at, a couple of fights that we're going to be, I pretty much got a good idea as to who we're fighting in the fall. I can't make an announcement yet. Right. But I know that if it could be Godzilla, if it could be King Kong, okay, that's who Joe would like to fight. He's looking for the biggest opportunities out there, and we're going to basically look and see what's best for him.
And we do need to talk about, I suppose, Canelo is an option as well at all the divisions, but he's a potential future opponent.
Oh, 100%. Look, the same way that London Arthur and Yard and Callum look at Joe now because he's the world champion and you want that opportunity to fight for the World Championship, Canelo's a superstar in the game. And in a second, we'd love to grab Canelo. Absolutely. And that could be something down the line as well.
Interesting. Well, enjoy the rest of your time in the UK and best of luck tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Thank you.